Hey guys, welcome back. This is Snazzy, you all-time favorite. Today we are gonna see GOKU, a new Saiyan arrives on Earth and met Gohan's son. So let's move on to the video. Behave, couldn't please behave, screamed a mother while holding a baby in her arms. A Goku look-alike kid actually. The second oldest person in the not huge but not small room signed and whispered to his mother about going to bed. Alright dear, good night, and remember tomorrow's study work has to be done, the older woman told her oldest son while feeding the other small boy in her arms. The woman kissed the older boy's head.
I know, he mumbled while making his way up the stairs to his room. It was light blue around the walls with a massive window on the left and a bed opposite to the large glass square.
Then a bookshelf with his study books and other books he reads. He had his closest and a study desk in front of the window. The 14-year-old signed and jumped into his bed just looking at the stars, which were bright and beautiful at this time of night. The stars, the moon, everything was beautiful and looked right. But the 14-year-old felt a piece in his heart missing. Ever seen that day, that moment, his last look, his last breath, his last everything? That man, that hero is gone because of some little boy who didn't listen, who was a jerk and who liked to play around. Son Goku is now gone and will ever come back because of this little silly boy's actions. Tried to make things better by trying to save other people, but no, he couldn't. He wasn't like his father, not like the amazing hero everyone said he was. No, Gohan was just Gohan, who made his father died to save Earth, all cause some kid didn't listen and finish sell off when he had the chance. Gohan thought to himself while trying to close his eyes for some sleep. While the grief-ridden boy tried to fall asleep, the other Saiyan was slowly but surely making her way to Earth. Second by second her pod was coming closer. Morning. Morning, mother. The boy didn't get much sleep last night. His thoughts were written with his father never coming back, and it was his fault. The young boy tried to shake the feeling of being useless off. He was a murderer who made his dad die, all cause of some stupid rage he felt. The boy pushed his tired body on the chair, making a loud thud noise. He coughed and looked at the food in front of him. Morning, how did you sleep, dear? The calm woman asked her son, who looked worried and tired and well sad. She put down the youngest child in the Sun family and looked to her smart, handsome boy who wasn't touching his food. Great, he replied with a blunt short answer. He then drank his water and stood up and walked to his room when his mother called. Gohan, where do you think you are going? The woman boomed through the house. He stood at the stairs awaiting an answer. The young signed and turned around, studying mother. He tried not to be rude to his mother, but he was getting annoyed easily today. Good, oh, and remember to take Goten out for a little later. Okay sweetie, so then you can get fresh air too. The woman smiled and made her way back into the kitchen. The young boy signed and opened his room door and started studying. Other place, but the same time, the white pod slowly sped through space looking for the planet it was searching for. The robot lady voice brought the young Saiyan out of her sleep. I repeat, 4 hours and 54 minutes to landing. The young girl smiled, while slowly falling back into a deep sleep. She held her left arm in her hand with red liquid running down her arm. Her legs were cut and her mouth bled when she coughed. She was covered with bruises and cuts. Her body was ending waves of pain through her body every time she moved, more coughed. He won't ever find me. The young pink-headed Saiyan fell into state of sleep. With a wide smile on her face. Back with Gohan.
Mom, I gonna go and see Dan and Piccolo, the young Super Saiyan yelled while flying this way through the sky. The hard wind wiping his face and the drops of water running down his hair onto his clothes made his energy boost.
There was the grey clouds rush past him as he sped to the lookout where his young friend and most trusted friend was. He smiled. He got some sleep before thinking about some maths questions, but when his father ran through his mind he would slap his arm trying not to think about it. He signed. The rain was light and the clouds grey. He smiled once he saw the white-looking plate. He sped up and jumped on the massive tiled plate. He smiled once a small green boy started to run towards Gohan with a massive smirk on his face. Gohan, he squealed and crushed Gohan with his small arms, not actually hurting the young, more stronger boy. Gohan chuckled at the green boy actions and hugged him back. I missed you, Mr. Popo, and Piccolo isn't he the best people to play with? Dan mumbled while taking his arms away from the taller boy. The Saiyan laughed and nodded at Piccolo, who smiled back. Togo, and what brings you here on such a rainy day? Dan asked while they walked over to the house. Part of the lookout Dan had to walk a little faster than normal to keep up with the Saiyan. Oh, you know the normal, just studying and helping mother with boat. And the male gave his best son smile and turned to Piccolo. Just came up here to see how the world's going. He smiled and turned around and his smile fell and he looked at the ground. Yeah, pause. Next time someone has to sacrifice themselves, it will be me to save this world, he thought while looking at the ground. Gohan then thought back to his father. It's all my fault. Goten doesn't he get to see his father for his whole life? The young Saiyan let a tear escape his eye. He then brought his hand up and smashed it down on his left arm. He held back a cry as pain ran through his arm. He turned around to see Piccolo giving him the craziest look. What in the hell was that? Gohan? Piccolo raged on and stomped over to him. Gohan felt his heart started to beat faster than before. Something bit me, so I slapped it. Sorry if I scared you. Gohan let the lie slip out his mouth and rush after Dan, who was smiling. He smiled back and sat down next to the green boy who was doing something with paper. So what ya up to, Dan? Gohan asked, sitting in a chair next to the young green boy.
Nothing much, just doing some paperwork, Mr. Popo said. I have to be homeschool. Well, whatever that is. Gohan nodded. He felt guilt cause he just lied to Piccolo, like who took care and become his best friend. He just lied to him.
The young boy leaned my head down on the table. Hey Gohan, are to alright? Dan asked while placing a hand on Gohan back. Gohan stood up and whipped a tear away. Fine, I am gonna go. Nice seeing you, Dan and Piccolo, Gohan yelled while jumping off the massive plate. He is having problems, isn't he? Dan asked Piccolo, who was standing next to him with a sad face. I believe Gohan had a problem with his father death scene that day. While Piccolo and Dan were talking about the troubled boy who was crying while flying to Master Roshi Place to see Krillin and the other if they were there. A space pod, the same very on a little helpless girl is close to Earth and is about to break it clouds while near the sun's house was. Gohan looked around and saw that it was near dark, so he changed this way to his house. He was flying pretty fast while the pod was coming faster to the mountains. Gohan's head snapped in the direction where a small energy was. He questioned himself while flying over his house. He was going to check it out. He called and he just ignore it. He was flying closer and closer to the energy, but he couldn't see anything. He huffed and looked around in circles trying to find where this strange energy was coming from. Gohan coughed. I huffed and felt my mind race to different factors that it could be. But the energy, it felt different to normal humans, but like Saiyans, but then again it felt magical at the same time. I signed and felt the small energy racing closer. It was small and probably I was the only one to sense it. I jumped on the ground and sat down waiting for the energy to get closer and much bigger. I was thinking about Mom when a white object came flying past me, shocking me and crashing into the mountain in front of my eyes. My heart rate began at a steady pace but became faster and faster by the minute. The white object was a white circle type thing with a massive black window. I think I jumped and sped over to it without any second thoughts. My mind was racing. What happens if this is an enemy, or worse, something else that I can't beat? I sighed and placed my hands down on the door part and ripped it up to show what was inside this space pod. My breath was caught in my throat. What, who, and how? That is what was running through my mind. As I moved closer, I noticed it was a girl with, I think, dark red hair and pale white skin. She looked sick, well, a bit sick, and worse, she looked in pain as I picked her up. She wasn't breathing normally, and she also wasn't opening her eyes. I looked around and jumped off the ground, taking the air and flying to my house. I must help her. I think that's what Dad would do. Okay guys, that's not what she actually looks like, just what she did in the dark. Gohan's paw. I huffed once her skin was returning back to normal. Well, I am guessing it normally not tanned cause her paleness is deeding down. I smiled once her eyelashes started to move and her eyes started to open slowly like she is in pain. I sat up more in seat and looked at the bright pink-headed girl with a smile. Finally I thought when she sat up and groaned. Where am I? Her voice rang through my ears as my smile brightened. She whispered to herself while trying to regain her eyesight. She then looked to her right arm. I had a long scar from her injury. I smiled and she groaned while trying to move it. I wouldn't do that. My mouth moved without my say. I held my breath at her reaction. Her pink hair snapped to the side when she looked my way. She then started to panic. She jumped off the bed with a clear pain with every movement. She growled and jumped into a frightened stance that surprised me. It was flawless and for a reason you couldn't touch her left side. I huffed and sat back down. Where the hell am I? Her voice showed no emotions or fears. It sounded plain. I held up my hands and spoke in a soft voice. I'm not going to hurt you. My name's Gohan, I said while standing back up. Her eyes were glaring at me with full force. I smiled. Yuri on Earth, I spoke without a pause. I let a little smile creep onto my face. Her eyes were a bluish-green color. I smiled. Why the hell am I here? Wait, where did you find me? She yelled while still in her frightened stance. She gave me a questioning look. I smiled. I raised my energy. I often remember how Mom acted when she saw me with a female in my arms. Flashback. I rushed inside the house and yelled for Mom. The dark-haired woman came rushing out with a worried look on her face. She gave me a look and screamed when she saw the girl. Please go and please tell me you didn't do that. I know you and Dad have this thing with his powers and using on girls. I spoke over Mom, leading her into my room and sat her on my bed. No, Mother, I just found her. Can you heal her? I asked with a worried tone. I then noticed she was really pretty. There isn't a lot of girls with pink hair that are pretty. I often looked to see my mother's face. She looked to her arms and gave me Gohan. Gohan, I'm sorry but I'm not letting someone in the house that we don't know, she screamed and blared at the young girl. Mother, please, she need our help. I think she might be one of us, I stated. I ran to the bathroom to grab the healing kit. I rushed back in my room to see Gohan grabbing the young girl's hand while licking it. Fine, Gohan stopped that. She started to tend to her injuries while I stood back and saw what Gohan kept doing. End of flashback. You were in a pod, it crashed into a mountain near here, so I carried you back and my mother tended to your injuries, I explained while thinking back to what Gohan was doing. I smiled and looked back up to the girls who look onto the ground. She then stood up straight and crossed her arms. She stared at me. She looked like she was trying to figure something out. So you don't want to kill me? She huffed and looked out the window. I was surprised. Why would I want to kill you? I asked with a confused tone. She glared at me and looked to my feet. None of your business, boy, she spat. Her tone had a tint of fear. I gave her a questioning look. How did you know anyway that I wasn't going to kill you? I asked with a tone which spelled confused. I noticed the way she was looking at the ground. It was type of sad look.
I could tell from your body language. Also, every time you talked, you tried to look me in the eye. You raised your power to show you could do some harm, but ever did you give me a reason to doubt or give a reason for you to hurt me? Mainly just how you acted to me, she explained while backing away a bit.
What doesn't he mean I trust you? She spat and looked around at everything in room. I smiled at her roughness in her tone. I don't know why, I just smile at this. Gohan, is she awake, or are you alright dear? My mother asked while walking in the room with an angry look. The female, who looked about a year or so younger than me. She backed away with a confused look. You can stay the night, sweetheart, just so you get rested up, Mother stated. Surprise and shock washed over my face. Normally Mother isn't like this at all. Thanks, I guess, the female whispered in a questioning tone. My mother looked at her up and down. What's your name, and how old are you? Mother asked in a soft voice while going through my cupboard for clothes, I think. The young girl gave my mother a questioning look. I am 13, she gave an answer, then looked down to the ground without a smile but a small frown. My name's Seki Mayu. She held back a tear. I swear, I saw my mother hand her some of my clothes. Here, have these. Yours clothes are ripped and dirty. Mother gave her one of my simply white tees and tight black spandex shorts. I don't notice of what she was wearing. Then she had a light blue corset and white shoulder shirt, and with a light gray shorts that were pretty short and knee-high boots that were a pale yellow. They were ridden with blood red and were ripped in places where it shouldn't. Oh, and my name is Kai Kai. I am Gohan's mother, she stated while walking out of the room. I was shocked. Mom, hasn't he been this nice before? I smiled and looked at Miyu. She was taking off her shirt. My face went red. I'm sorry, I will just, I stated while pointing to the door. That as when I noticed she had a furry object wrapped around her waist, my eyes widened. Wait, I said. She glared and looked annoyed at me. You have a tail, you're a Saiyan? I asked, my voice low and whisper. She looked surprised at my words. You know of Saiyans? She asked without any emotion in her voice. I nodded and smiled. I am a half-breed, part human, part Saiyan, I explained with a wide smile. She glared. I am not stupid, I know what a half-breed is, she spat while sitting her corset down and taking off her shoes. I smiled and nodded. Sorry, but how is your tail at white? I asked, surprised once I saw the furry white tail whipping around without any problems. She sighed. None of your business, she spat while she placed her hands on her shirt and started putting it up. I quickly made my way to the kitchen where my mother stood making some food for our guests. May you cough? Why are they so nice? They don't even know me and they're helping me. I started to question what people say about Earth. I huffed in pain. I ripped off the shirt I was wearing and replaced the one Kai Kai gave me. It's strange what they're doing for me, but the boy Gohan, he is wonderfully strong. He could kill me in a second if he tried. He is a half-breed. Lovely, then who bred it on this planet to make this half-breeds? I huffed and pulled on the tight pants. I folded my old clothes and sat them on the table in the middle of the room. So Earth people don't seem so bad. An old friend used to say, if the first impressions are always lies, and when you meet them, probably when they trust you, it is when their true colors come through. I smirked and looked out the window. They are ever going to get me. I notice another power in the room next to me. It was baby, but I know when he grows older he is going to be strong. I smiled at my gift. You see, I am a special Saiyan, so I have special gifts. I was cut out of my thoughts when I heard a knock on the door. The boy. He is so nice to me, but I am bitch back to him. Why doesn't he just kill me? I huffed and walked to the door and opened it and walked out. The boy was waiting there with a smile. Oh good, my mother made us some food, and this Yuri Saiyan like me, you eat a lot, he stated while leading me to their kitchen. I think, but I noticed he was kind of taller than me. He looked a year or two older. I smiled at the smell of food. I walked behind the boy named Gohan. I saw this mother put another plate of rice down on the wooden table. I smiled and looked to the women. She smiled. Please help yourself and go and eat. She sounded a little pissed. I nodded and looked at the table. I think she doesn't want me here. I looked to the woman who looked at her son pissed. He huffed and sat down in a chair and started to eat. No thank you, I wish no one you'd with this family. If I am a burned I will leave, I stated in a strong voice, but really I felt like shit. The woman smiled at me and leaned over the oven. Trust me, you're no burned, and please eat. I know you Saiyans have problems with not having a full stomach, she stated. I still slowly sat down. I looked to Gohan, who had eaten 9 plates already. I sighed and started to eat, but more ladylike than other Saiyans who just pushed their face into their plates. After 30 minutes of eating, Kai Kai set up some pillows and blanket on their couch for me. I nodded in thanks and looked to Gohan, who was smiling and looking out the window. I gave him a questioning look. He turned to me and smiled. He is always this happy. I asked myself. What were you doing crashing into Earth? He asked while sitting next to me. I jerked away without a second thought. He looked confused and hurt. I kept a motionless face. I felt a little guilty, but I tried to ignore it. None of your business, I spat at the boy. He looked down and signed and stood up and smiled. Okay, well, good night, Miyu-chan. He waved and walked off to his room. I smiled and fell on the couch. I fell started to sleep without a problem. So have I acted going out right? If not, please tell me. And thanks to Rockoff for my first ever review. Thanks so much. Gohan, yeah, thanks. I think we are all happy. May you, stupid boy. I think we don't need you input Gohan, but thanks. I really can't wait for more. Thanks so much. Smiles. Gohan, heave right. Sorry, Mayu. Mayu, you better be. Mayu cough. I loved the food, I stated while nodding thanks to the woman who gave me a small smile. She then turned to Gohan and looked upstairs. Gohan, you can take a day from studying, the woman said while walking to another room. The boy who I just met the day before gave me a surprised look and stood up. He walked to the door and smiled at me and leaned against the door frame. Hey, Yuri Saiyan, what about we trainer spar? My breath caught in my throat. The last time I sparred or trained, I got beaten to the ground and left for dead. I coughed and looked at the boy whose face was written with worry. I felt the same fear rush through my body. Boyak would just leave me for dead and get one of his little helper to clean up. I growled at the thought and looked at Gohan. I will not be in fear cause of another. I want to be strong, and becoming strong means making sure you have no weakness. I looked to Gohan and nodded and followed after. Gohan's paw. Even though she is new and well an alien from another planet, I think that she will soon warm up to me. I plan to help her until she is okay to go off on her own. And I wanna know why she has a white tail. I mean, come on, how come she has a white tail? I smiled once. I found my foot on a wide field of green grass and bright brown dirt. The sun was raging. 2 days sweat beaded down my forehead just from running. I looked back at Mayu. She was also sweating. I smiled and turned around to get face full of a pink head smashing into me. We were the same heights. What is wrong? She growled while fixing herself up with pride. I smiled and looked around while talking. So Mayu, well, where is your strength that I asked? She will probably want to stand a chance against me. I am the strongest man in the world right now. Strong, she stated while getting into her fighting stance. She smirked at me and looked into my eyes. I won't hold back, and if you try and go easy, go and I will hurt you, she stated. I nodded. Sure, I stated. You start, she smirked and held her guard up while slowly following my movements. I smiled and went head on and swung my hand softly at her. She then caught it and moved her knee above my arm and crashed her knee down on my bone. I jerked my arm away before she broke it. I glared at her. What the hell? Why did you do that? I yelled. She smirked and disappeared and reappeared next to me. Don't hold back, she whispered in my ear while grabbing my arms and flipping herself over me and twisting my arm. I groaned and pushed her off while throwing a harder punch. She again caught it and flipped her body over me, making me smash into the ground. I groaned again and jumped up, and she yelled while throwing punches at me. I dogged them. Don't hold back, she yelled. I caught a kick she sent this way and I twisted her foot. Fine, I said while punching her in face. She looked at me and smirked while wrapping her legs around my waist. My face went red with blush. She then punched me in the face and powered up blast at my chest. She then blew off the beam and her hand then grabbed my shoulder and swung her knee around to knee me in the face. I threw back a bit. I was a bit shocked. She is strong for a female and a Saiyan, not super yet. I pushed myself off the ground and disappeared and appeared behind me. She was looking around confused. I then punched her in the back. She groaned and fell to the ground. I walked over to her laying on the ground. I leaned down a bit. Is she okay? I thought while trying to find her key. I saw Mayu turn around with her face ridden with a smirk. She then stood up and wiped her mouth, which had blood running down her lip. Jerk, she spat. I could feel her rage growing. What did I do? Why, what did I do? I asked while she glared hard. If looks could kill, I would be dead right now. She glared harder at me. Aching hit in the back. That is a great way to be a sissy. Also, you just pissed me off more by asking, she yelled while running at me. She threw a punch at me, but before she landed it, she disappeared and reappeared behind me. I felt a knee crash into the back of my kneecaps, so I fell on the ground on my knees. I was surprised and shocked I didn't move at all. She then pulled my hand behind my head and pushed her knee into my back. She kept pushing her knee into my back and making my arms bend. Aha! Go and come on, I know you stronger, just show your strength, she snapped. I don't want to hurt you.
I growled and pain started to make its way through my body. I let out a cry. I started to try and get out of her hold. I called Nchi, but I still called Nchi. I growled and tried to break free again.
She growled and pushed me harder. Go and just show me please, she begged. I growled, the only way I can get out of this is Super Saiyan. I cry out and pain her knee back up a little. I started to power up. My hair was flashing blonde and my eyes flashed teal. My power skyrocketed. When I powered up, Miyu-chan was thrown back by power waves. I stood up and held my glare with hers. She then looked at me again and screamed and ran up to me. She touched my hair. I felt my neck started to burn. She then squealed in delight. What the hell? Wait, is that a lead? I cut her off, powering down. Yeah, a Super Saiyan. How the hell? She yelled. I smiled and stepped closer to her. Well, every Saiyan can turn into a Super Saiyan, you just need the training, I explained with a smile. I think this is where the girl runs away from freakish alien boy. Sighed and waited for her to say something or just run. Okay, go and let's make a deal, she spoke while walking over to me with a slight smile. I nodded. She looked at me with a smile. You train me to become Super Saiyan and everything else, you know.
And well, what do you want in return? She asked. I thought for a minute. What do I want?
I sighed. Well, she could just tell me about her business here and well, why her tail is white and then maybe her fighting style, it's different to everything else. Oh, I would let her stay at mine place so then I could have a study buddy. Okay, for that I want you to stay with me. I mean as me and mom, you will help me and also do sturdiest with me. And I want you to show me and teach me your style of fighting. I asked with a smile on my face. Her face was full with confusion. Me stay with you, why would you want that? She stated slowly with a dumb tone. I sighed. Yeah, well, you see, my dad hasn't been with me and mom for a while and it's boring around my place, and plus I need someone to keep me on my toes with training, I explained with a slight butch. Wait, I have to talk to mom first. As sighed, she gave me a glare. Is that really it, or you just a pervert? She stated. Face became red so fast it's like having lightning flash on your face. I stuttered with my words. No, it's just. It's alright, go, and it was a joke, she stated with a smirk and nodded. Time skip. No one's paw.
When both teenagers got back, go and let the young girl change into some different clothes and go and talk to mother about Miyu, if she could live with them, and the question was popped, does she have parents? Go and face became sad again. Really, she would have to go sometime.
He sighed and walked upstairs and knocked on the door well known to him. Yeah, she answered. He smiled and opened the door to see the young girl brushing her long hair out with her fingers. She smiled at him and looked back over to what she was doing.
So, when do you have to go back home? He asked while jumping on his bed with a sad look. He really didn't want her to go, but she did come in a space pod, so what's the case?
Well, you know, I came in a space pod, right? And my parents died when I was young. I crashed here on Earth for my own business, but I don't have anything to do or really anything I wanted to do. So what about that deal? She stated without imagining her done. The young boy nodded and awkwardly looked away. He didn't know what to say. Yeah, mom agreed, so you can stay in my room with me, the young boy stated while smiling crazily. The young girl then turned around and smiled and looked down at her shoes. Okay, so do you have a training days and other breaks? So what happens there? She stated while laying next to Gohan, who was smiling. Then a thought hit him. Well, we have got a lot of studying to do, some we will have to even it out. You said you mean you. Nope, you got to do it too. Why? 'Cause mom wants me to have study buddy and it's in the deal. Remember, you still gotta make me into Super Saiyan before 5 years. Yeah, I know, I guess you will want to go Super Saiyan 2. Why, there is Super Saiyan 2, go and you have to get me to that stage. I will, don't you worry, also you gotta be studying with me, K. Whatever, go on. Hey D. Dinner time go and Mayu. No one's pav. So it's been about a year. Mayu has been added to the Sun family quite nicely. Goten is now 2 and is walking around. His first words were Meme, which made Gohan laugh his head off. Kakai and Miyu did mix quite well. It was weird, but they do have their yelling matches about training and studies. Miyu wasn't a natural like Gohan was at maths and English, but science and all the other subjects were a breeze, while with Gohan he was a natural with English and maths but not with the others. About their training, well, Miyu has taught some of her special moves to Gohan and the same back. Gohan is a pro at Super Saiyan 2 and Miyu is nearly there with it, though she hasn't seen his Super Saiyan 2. Gohan is now turning 15 and Miyu is turning 14. So Miyu and Gohan share a room and Goten has his own. It is a small little cozy room.
In Gohan and Mayu room it was a plain white. There was a bed on the right side of the room. It was in the corner. It was Mayu's because it was green and white, also quite neat, while the second bed was next to the other one but on the other wall.
It was messy and was orange and purple. The room held 2 cupboards as filled with clothes, and there was a large desk under the window with all their papers and everything. The day was bright, the moon was not seen till the night. There was a fight that night. The fight was not right. The male was not light but heavy. The other male was in fact light. And the smaller male was ridden with fright. The young girl was standing in a pose, which made Gohan burst out laughing with tears in his eyes. See Gohan, I can do poetry, I am a freaking pro, the pink-hair girl stated in a posh voice, while the older boy laughed without a word. Haha, oh god, Gohan laughed while holding his stomach in pain while laughing. The pink-head smiled at this and looked back to her studying. She held up a finger. You gotta work, Gohan, she stated in another posh voice. This made Gohan laugh harder. The young Saiyan smiled and laughed and pushed Gohan playfully. Stop laughing so loud, Kai gonna notice, she stated while writing something down. The older Saiyan laughed one more time and got back to work. A thought hit him, he hasn't asked for a while. Hey, cause I haven't asked in a while for you, cause you asked, but about your tail, the older Saiyan asked while giving his full focus to the pink-head girl. The girl sighed and pulled some hair behind her ear. Fine, she stated while looking at Gohan. Only because I trust you, she finished while moving closer to Gohan. Well, you see, she paused for a minute. Gohan was so happy as her trust bubbles started to raise in his stomach. She let out a sigh. Gohan's pav. When I was young, I was on King Cold ship. Wait, what? I thought, King Cold Freezer, Father God. Well, he trained me for a while before my mother and father died. You see, I never really got to them at all because they were on missions. And well, King Cold killed them once he was finished with them. She paused for a second. I saw a tear raise to her eye. I was surprised that she was telling me this. And I did a couple of missions, that's when they found out about my tail being white. She stated without any emotion in her tone. But the look on her face showed everything. They bastards found put that I took after my mother. I am a white Saiyan, she breathed out, not looking at me. And well, cause of the power I hold, King Cold made me do some many things I shouldn't of. Her voice broke. I felt guilt rush through me. I moved closer to the female. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Then some animals, those freaks, came and stole me from the hands of King Cold. There was about 4 of them. I don't know the names of the helpers, but the boss Boyak. He is monster AI. I have never seen her like this. He made me do thing I didn't like. He tried to awake the power of a white Saiyan, but no, he couldn't, so he abused me instead. She let one tear escape her eye, then she buried her head into my chest and I hugged her back. She just hugged me, not cried, just hugged. So what is a white Saiyan? I asked after the 20 minutes long pause. She unburied her head out of my chest. She gave me a smirk. Whoa, you don't know a lot of stuff for a smart kid. She presses a joke. I laughed. Haha, thanks very so much, I stated while playing with her hair. She smiled at me, a first real smile. I kind of don't know myself, she stated when we looked out of the window in each other's arms. She smiled and looked at me. Oh well, I know someone who will probably know for sure, I stated while she sat in my lap and we cuddled. My arms were around her waist. She was hugging up two arms. I was playing with her hair. Who, she asked while her eyes were slowly shutting. I smiled and shut my eyes too. Just a special male you will meet, he is Saiyan as well. He is full-blooded, I finish. Only I noticed she was asleep. I sighed and closed my eyes too. No one pav. A little boy started to crawl around on the ground trying to find his way to his brother and friend. Mimi, go, and the boy spoke Babish while crawling up to his brother's room. He cried once he called to get in. He hit the door with his head. Thud. The baby started to giggle and hit the door again, standing up and doing it. He then cried again. The young boy screamed and crawled down the hall. The women heard all the noise and stomped upstairs to see her baby boy there and were crying. She sighed and picked up the boy. What's wrong? She whispered to the young boy. The young Saiyan whose tail was whipping around crazily. He then pointed to the door. You want to go and play with me, you and Gohan? Okay, the young boy started to yell Mimi while she walked to the door and opened it to see Gohan laying on the ground with Miyu on his chest. They were sound asleep. She grasped and put Goten down. She ran to the kitchen with one mission in her head. Photos. She grabbed the large but small object and raced back to Gohan's room to see Goten laying on Miyu bed hugging the pillow. She giggled. These two are gonna be so cute together when they get together, she mumbled while taking photos. She saw Gohan slowly waking up, so she moved to the door frame. The boy slowly opened his eyes and was surprised. He smiled and chuckled. Strawberry, time to wake up, mom's gonna kill us. The young Saiyan spoke softly while gently pushing the young pink head who was wearing black short tight shorts and a white shirt, long v-neck shirt which you could tell was tied up at the side. She put her hair up in a side pigtail and her fringe was normally cowlick with smallish largish bangs. She had bright light blue eyes and a tan body color, but Gohan is tanner. The boy was wearing a dark transition Japanese male's pants with a white top. Gohan's black big eyes looked to pink head that was smiling and looking up at Gohan. Haha, yeah, I think Kai would kill us. Our homework isn't done, Miyu stated while sitting up and looking to her bed. She moved from her spot on the floor to her bed. She sat down. She stated rudely to the young boy, while the baby talked back in his baby speech. Gohan laughed and said plainly strawberry and looked to the door to his mother. He smiled and got a bit nervous. Mom, his voice went a little high pitch. Kai smiled and walked out with a word. He sighed and wondered how long she has been there, but Goten screaming interrupted his thoughts. Go and get your idiot brother off me, Miyu screamed while blushing. The little boy was slowly crawling up the girl who was yelling. The boy placed his foot on her stomach and stood up. Goten, Miyu, go and breathed out. He chuckled while picking up Goten and placing on his shoulders. Rat, Miyu spat while glaring at the young 2-year-old. This made Gohan laugh. He then walked out of the room and into the kitchen. Gohan grabbed little Goten and placed him on his shoulders. His mother was standing there with smiles. She was cleaning dishes from the dinner they had an hour ago. The little Goku was giggling from the height he was at. Gohan, we're going to see Bulma and Trunks tomorrow. So you might want to tell me who she is. Gohan's mother spoke while taking Goten off his shoulders and seating him down on the table to feed him again. Okay, thanks, Mom, Gohan said, running to this room with a wide grin.
He raced in and shut the door. He turned to see Miyu there reading a book. She had her full force in it and didn't he bother to look at who came in the room or for what purpose. Sounds like me when reading the app fanfictions.
Gohan Pav. Strawberry, guess what? I stated while making my bed, which I sat on and waited an answer. The female didn't answer. I sighed and looked at her again with an annoyed look. I used a different tone. Hello, please don't tell me you going into this state again where you just read and ignore me, I asked while slowly crawling over to her. I sighed and sat up and poked her in the leg. She didn't react. I smirked and poked her again and again. She groaned and moved away and placed her head back in her book. Fine, you leave me no other choice, I stated while quickly placing my hands on her hips and started to tickle her. There was loud squealing and she was yelling for me to stop, which made me smile and was laughing hard. "You're gonna listen to me now," I laughed, smiling. I heard the door open to Goten, who was laughing at the sight. I was leaning over Mayu, who had a red face from laughing. "Why yes," she answered before laughing again. Goten saw this and ran up to her and tried to push me again. I laughed and stopped my assault on Mayu, who looked at Mayu with a smirk, the one Vegeta often wears on his lips. I stopped and looked her tone and words towards to Goten. "Nailed, get off me," she stated with a emotionless tone to Goten, who was sitting in her lap. I laughed and sat down in front of her. "Plain strawberry," I smirked at the nickname. I then paused for a minute. "So tomorrow we are going to see a couple of my old friends and of my father's." I paused. I told her about how my father sacrificed himself for our world. She really wants to meet him and Piccolo, who I said was my first teacher. "Right, so does that mean I'm not studying?" she asked with a smile on her face. I nodded and she did a little happy dance. "Mimi!" Goten screamed. The female then glared at the boy. "May you cough?"
Gohan, me get down here now, we are going to be late if you don't. TKK voice ran through my ears. I huffed at Gohan and pulled my high tops on and walked with him to the door. Gohan was wearing a transition light blue Japanese shirt.
He had black pants and black shoes. I looked to him and smiled. We walked to the car, in which there was a plane. Instead, a man with spiky hair and a yellow suit smiled and waved at us. "Who the hell is that?" I whispered to Gohan, who smiled and waved back. "A friend," he answered. I smiled and nodded. I haven't met these friends of his yet. Especially the Z fighters, which I have to meet. I host and Kaika looked at me and Gohan. She gave a look, saying he was dressed well. I gulped and she looked me up and down. She did the same to what I was wearing. I am wearing a light lime green crop top. It did show some belly, but I had high-waisted jean shorts on. It didn't show any breast. Well, no talking about it. I don't flat-chested. I am overgrown for my age, though I am not massive. I smiled and looked at Kai. She sighed and walked on to the plane. I started to feel nervous. What happens if I make a fool pot of myself in front of everyone and Gohan doesn't want to be my friend anymore? My face showed complete and utter fear. I felt a strong hand grab mine. My face started to burn when I looked to Gohan, who smiled at me and whispered at me, "Walked to the plane." "Yes, niece, don't you worry. Okay, he one of the Z fighters, so just be yourself and let your tail free," Gohan stated. I nodded and held his hand tighter. Once we were on the plane, standing there, there was a man who I think was named Yamcha, and there was another man standing there with a white turban and cape. Under the cape he wore purple G that had blue here and there with brown elf shoes. I was surprised. This is the one called Piccolo. It was amazing just looking at him. I looked in amazement. He was green and that is my favorite color. "Piccolo, Yamcha, it is nice to see you guys again." Gohan voice broke me from staring at Piccolo, who looked at me with question. The black-head spiky one walked over and hugged Gohan. "Yeah, it has been like 2 years. From the Cell games." Yamcha voice was low and manly. He laughed and sat back down in the driver's seat of the plane. I smiled and he smiled back. Before he could say anything, the green man looked Gohan's and mine way he smiled. "Gohan, it's nice to see you again," he said. Gohan hands went tighter with each second.
I know it's been a year. Sorry I haven't seen you guys in ages. I was kinda busy with other things important. He voice looking at me with a smile. I smiled back. He then got a glare from Piccolo and a questioning look from Yamcha.
"So Gohan, who's the little lady?" Yamcha added. I started to get a bit panicky and Gohan noticed, so he led to us to seat and Goten started to scream out for me. "Shut it, midget!" I scoffed at the baby, ignoring the question about me. Gohan smiled and picked up Goten from his mother's arms and walked back over here with him. "This is me, Yuseki," he stated very loudly and placed himself and Goten down. I glared at the small kid. The child then squealed and jumped on my lap. "Hi, it's nice to meet you, Yamcha, of the Z fighters," I say. He chucked and nodded. "Yes, I'm back soon." Not trying to be rude or anything. Gohan, but does she know about I cut the male specking off? Yes, I know of you guys being the heroes who fought Saiyan of Gohan and his father and some other being Saiyan. As I said again, I got a shocked look from the male. Whoa, well, I guess you do some martial arts then, he asked. I smiled and nodded. Yes, I do, but I would love getting taught by one of the special Z fighters, I stated in a higher pitched tone. The young male laughed and smiled and looked at Gohan with grin. Oh, I already like you, he stated. I felt all my worries run through my skin and head and nod in return. I smiled and looked at Goten in my lap. I looked to see Gohan over with Piccolo talking and Kai Kai looking out the windows. I sighed and another question was thrown my way. So Mayu, how old are you, the male asked. I replied with turning 14, a year younger than Gohan. He smiled and nodded and kept driving. Mimi Goten kept screaming, this make Yamcha laugh. Looks like little Goten has taken a liking to you, he stated. I sighed and nodded. Sadly enough, I thought. Miyu, come meet a really close friend, Gohan asked. I smiled and stood up while Goten climbed onto my shoulders. Sure, I huffed to Goten, who then pulled on my hair and started to say, Strawberry. I groaned and glared at Gohan. He held his hands up and laughed. He likes the nickname, he stated while Piccolo looked at me with surprise. I groaned again. Well, I dislike it. Gohan then placed a hand on my shoulder and looked to Piccolo, who was looking behind me. Gohan then looked at me to say hi. No answer. Piccolo and I just looked at one another. His power was strong, but I am stronger by way more. You're quite the strong one, ain't you? My emotionless tone was bleak and sounded dead. The green man looked at my lips. I was wearing a smirk. How do you know of that? You can sense my power level, can you? He asked with an emotionless tone as well. I looked at Gohan, who nodded at me to finish what I was saying. Yes, I can. It is a gift I had since birth. I paused and looked at Yamcha. He was kind of looking at me while he was listening. Yes, I can read a person power level, I finished. The green man looked at me with wide eyes.
You're a Saiyan. I thought there was only 4 to 5 left in the world. Yet a female. I don't believe it. I scoffed at this and sat back down, and Goten was talking baby and playing with my waist long hair.
Yeah, well, believe it, cause you re looking at the last female full-blooded Saiyan, Gohan said with a tone of pride in his tone which made me smile. As soon as the smile came, Goten grabbed my face and started to pinch my lips, saying, Mal, Mimi Mal, he screamed and started to kick me. I glared at the boy and tapped his head lightly. The boy stopped and looked at me with a smile and started to close his eyes. Wait until Vegeta hears about this, the male up the front stated. Confusion runs across my mind. Vegeta who? Oh, I will meet him soon. I looked to Piccolo. Is there a problem with my Saiyan heritage? I stated, a bit rude, but more to put him back in his place. I huffed and turned around and wanted until we were there. Koanes Pav. Then why is her tail white? Piccolo asked me in soft whisper. I smiled and looked at her with my smile growing. Cause she is one of a kind, I stated in a dreamlike tone. Piccolo was giving me a look, but I ignored it and kept my gaze on her, my little white Saiyan. A push in the shoulder caught me off guard. I looked to Piccolo and nodded as in getting my focus. Hey, I stated, trying to get my attention. I smiled once she looked at me. You know that guy I was telling you about? The one you could ask about your white Saiyan heritage? Well, that guy name's Vegeta, I stated and saw her facial look change with confusion, and then she nodded and turned back around. I turned to look out the window. About 5 to 10 minutes, then we are gonna be at Bulmas. I was looking around the plain board when I actually saw what she was wearing. My mouth started to water. What the hell is wrong with me? I huffed and looked to Mother, who was reading a book and looking at Goten every couple of seconds to make sure he wasn't getting sick or anything, I guess. I looked to Yamcha. He was focused on flying and Piccolo was looking at his eyelids, so his eyes were closed. I looked to Miyu, who was having a party with Goten. I finally saw Capsule Crop. I smiled and walked to the door of the plane. I saw Mother pick up Goten and Miyu huff in annoyance. Piccolo followed after Miyu and he looked her tail the whole way. We all walked about to the front door. I smiled once I saw Bulmother holding a 3-3-year-old in her arms and wearing a black long-sleeved shirt and red mini-tight skirt. And a lavender hair boy there that was wearing grey jean jacket with capsule croc written on the back. He had black pants on and a dark blue singlet. Then when it hit me, Trunks, I yelled while running over and wrapping my hand in his and doing a fist punch thing. I smiled and looked up to him. Why are you back? I thought I wouldn't see you for a while, like forever, I say, while Yamcha came over and started to talk to him, and so did Piccolo. I looked back to see Mayu standing there with an out-of-place look. She was looking around bored and awkward. I huffed and walked over to her. Before I could say anything, Trunks' voice rang through my ears and in front of me. Mayu, he squealed, while rushing over to her. He had wide eyes while checking her up. All attention was on her. She looked surprised. She looked him up and down, her face a tad red. Sorry, do I know you? She stated while looking at me for help. He smiled and ran up to her and hugged her. She was taken back and I was also. Why was Trunks acting like that? Mayu jerked him away from her. Her face bright red with blush. Wait, she was blushing for embarrassment. I felt bubbles in my stomach. The hell, she squealed while grabbing his left arm and twisted it around her body. She then jumped over him, slamming him on the ground. He let out a breath and coughed and sat up. I rushed over to Mayu. She was so angry and her power level was going up by the second. Don't you ever touch me again, you male humans, she spat. I felt my jealous dying down. She grabbed my hand. I don't know why, but I felt a rush of happiness. I smiled, but it disappeared as soon as I saw Trunks looking embarrassed. He smiled at Mayu. Sorry, it's just I haven't seen you in total of 3 to 4 years, Trunks said, backing himself up. I looked to Mayu, who looked at bit scared and fearful eyes.
What? I don't even know you. I have never seen you before. How the hell can you know me, human? She spat. She was so angry. I sighed and thought for a minute, trying to calm her down by rubbing my thumb against her hand.
Miri was all red in the face and blushing. Sorry, Mei-chan, she spoke and did an awkward laugh. He looked at Bulma, who was laughing her ass off. I smiled and whispered to Mei. He is the one from the future, Miri. Trunks, I think he remembers you from his timeline, I stated while she nodded. Mayu coughed. If I am wrong, please say, but do you know me from your time? I spoke. He blushed harder. If he is Trunks but older than Wo, he is kinda good looking. If you're getting my thoughts, though his isn't he as good looking as Gohan though. Wait, what? Why am I thinking this? Feelings is weird. I don't know, the feeling is abnormal, but I kind of like it. I was cut out of my thoughts once a hand was placed on my shoulder. The other side of me, I noticed it was Yamcha. You alright, kiddo? Yamcha asked while looking at Trunks. I nodded and held my breath, counting to 20. Haha, sorry Mayu-chan, he said awkwardly. I smirked, still pissed. Good, I stated with a blush. I looked at the boy again. He looks around a year or two older, very nice body and that look in his eyes. Whoa, stop, I will not be taken by this charm, stop. Haha, okay, so let's get inside, guys. The others are in, Bulma I think said while walking inside. I let go of Gohan's hand and followed behind Yamcha. Sorry for the late chapter, the internet wasn't working. Also this commenter I rewrote because I didn't like the start. Sorry. Love. I don't own Dragon Ball Z, sadly I don't. Mayu cough. We walked into a massive room which held a table in the left corner and a massive TV in the middle of the room with about 2 massive sofas and 4 little ones. There was a group of about 4 to 5 males talking and laughing. I slowed down with my walking. I landed next to Trunks because Gohan ran over to the male group. My head snapped to the taller male. What do you want? I spat. Trunks smiled like nothing happened and held out his hand for me. He smiled and let his mouth talk. Sorry, well let's start fresh. Hi, I am Trunks Briefs. What is your name? I smiled and took his hand. My face started to burn. Mayu Seiki, we let our hands fall to our sides. I smiled and looked at Gohan socializing with other males. I feel happy when he is around more males than just Goten, and when he is out of the house, he is always trying to help around with Goten cause his father isn't there. Also, he tries so hard to make sure I am up to speed with everything, he just doesn't give himself any time. Haha, so what age are you now? Trunks asked, my face burned for some odd reason. I smiled and kept looking to the males. I am 14, I asked. He smiled and looked at the boys too. Trunks' voice rang through ears. I will write you're younger when you meet Gohan for the first, because they stopped and I cut Trunks off speaking. I was confused. So what's my future like? I asked while keeping my gaze on Gohan, who was laughing at Krillin jokes. Trunks turned around to become face to face with me. Well, you dead, that's why I hugged you. He blushed. I smirked and looked at him. You missed me? I asked with a smirk on my face. Trunks chuckled and nodded. He looked at Gohan. Yeah, Gohan, and you trained me into the man I am today, he explained. I smiled and looked to the Gohan, who turned around and smiled at me. He looked again at me without a smile. His face became red and glared at Trunks, then turned around. I was confused at his reaction. I sighed and heard my name being called. I looked up to Gohan, who was shaking his hand telling me to come over. I smiled and nodded. I made my way over to the young male, my eyes glazed upon a smaller man with no hair and 6 dots on his head. I stopped myself next to go and I saw another taller male with 3 eyes with no hair and a nice body. There was a tiny boy which was pale white with red cheeks and well a black hat on. This is a weird group, I thought while looking at Gohan to see what he wanted. I would like you to meet some old friends of mine. The Z Fighters. Gohan voice made me look to the men again. I smiled again at them. They smiled back. The tallest one moved forward. Hi, I am Tian. He held out his hand for me. I nodded and took it and then turned to the smaller child. I am C. The kid was cut off by some male who was taller than me. His hair was up in a flame position and his eye color was onyx. I glared at the male for pushing the smaller kid out of the way. This is the new Saiyan. Grr, you should have killed her, Gohan. May you cough. Excuse me, I growled while stepped forward to the male. I glared at him. The male smirked and walked around me looking and touching, mainly poking my arms, I guess trying to see if I am strong. I growled and moved away from the taller older male. Well, you're the last female Saiyan. You're not that strong. You look feather light and as smart, the male scoffed while glaring at Gohan. Hey idiot, ever heard the saying don't judge a book by its cover? As I groaned while stepping back with a smirk on my face. The male glared at me hard and stepped in front of me again. A pride of a Saiyan, I could get used to you, the male yelled while looking back at Gohan, who was slowly edging towards me. I moved closer to him, my hands started to sweat and my mood changing quickly. I was a bit happier for some reason. Vegeta, don't you dare hurt her, Bulma's booming voice rang through my ears as the male called. Vegeta spun around. She is the last female Saiyan, Bulma. I would not hurt her. I will let no one hurt her, he boomed. He looked around the room at all the surprised faces.
She is the last of my people. When she feels like making more Saiyans with another Saiyan, no one will hurt her, got it? Or even try anything, he yelled at them. I took a step back and Gohan held my hand and everyone was looking with awe at Vegeta.
I stepped back again. Why is he doing this? Is he the one, the prince of all of us, the prince of Saiyans? I took a step back and looked at Gohan with worry. I heard lots of crap about our king and his family. Mostly bad stuff. I locked eyes with Vegeta, his onyx eyes staring back at mine own. I felt my body go hard and my blood turn cold. This can't happen. I stepped forward and glared at him with my fear no showing. You're my, I asked in a small voice. Gohan gave me a small smile and looked back at Vegeta. Vegeta smirked and placed his hands on his hips and glared at me. Yes, I am your prince, I am. You have no people, there isn't anyone left, only a small handful. So you have no people, you have no Saiyans to rule over, I screamed while memories rushed through my mind of King Cold. I held on to Gohan's hand tighter. I will not be a doll for you to play with, I screamed while stepping into the male chest to prove my point. Vegeta smirked and leaned down to me. You were on Freezer's ship, weren't you? Vegeta asked while Gohan stepped in front of me. I was shocked. Why was Gohan acting so different? What is happening? What is this feeling in my stomach? I leaned against his back, my face deep in his shirt. That's personal, Vegeta, so back off, he spat with a deadly look. I was surprised at his tone. I grabbed his shirt harder, not liking it. Vegeta smirked and went to push Gohan away. When Gohan's hair became blonde, his eyes burned with fury, his muscles went another size larger. He was giving the Vegeta a warning. Vegeta, Bulma stated in a warning tone. Vegeta spat on the ground in front of Gohan's foot. Gohan just glared at him, no moving. Vegeta's eyebrow raised with surprise. He walked off to his gravity room to train. I felt Gohan's power drop and he turned around and put his hand on my shoulders and looked into my eyes. I smiled a small smile. He then developed me into his chest for a hug. Anyone else feeling awkward? Krillin stated while Gohan placed his hand on mine and let me free of his arms. My face was burning with embarrassment. Sorry, I whispered while looking at all of the people in the room. Love, Crystal. Sorry guys about that, Vegeta can be a royal pain in my butt, Bulma said while grabbing my hands and leading me over to the sofa. I sighed and nodded and looked to Gohan, who was still glaring at the door where Vegeta walked out from. A taller male shot through my view. I looked up a little more to see Trunks smiling and sitting down next to me. See you out there. I smiled while thinking about it. I turned my head to see Krillin. The male was sitting in front of me. So you read the last Saiyan? He asked while looking at my tail. I brushed and nodded and looked the opposite way. Then why is your tail white? I ignored his question. Krillin, she is the last female Saiyan out there. Don't you get what Vegeta was saying? Tian was saying. Gohan sat down right beside me, like really close, too close for comfort. I smiled, getting a feeling wash over me. I smiled and put my head on his shoulder, not even thinking anything about it. Gohan cough. She placed her head on my shoulder. I smiled, and a feeling washed over me, a happy feeling. I looked to her, her bright crystal blue eyes sparking back at me. Her bright pink hair rolling down my shoulder. She was taking small deep breaths. I saw Krillin laugh and looked to Miyu. Hey, there is more of your kind from where you were, right? Krillin asked Miyu. I glared at Krillin. Miyu head snapped to Krillin. She glared at him. If you must know, then no, but it's really none of your business. Her tone was strong and deadly. I glazed at her. I don't get how she can just hide her emotions without other people knowing that she has a bad or sad past, but she can. She hides it from those who she is with 24/7. She can also hold her in anger in battles, but she does have a short temper. She can hide and let people discover her feelings. It as something I don't have, it as something I want. Gohan's paw. So the rest of the night when Miyu didn't blow anyone or yell, just threaten or either used her cold heartless tone. Right now we are studying at home and Miyu is sitting on her bed just drawing while music playing. I smiled to myself. She has a great voice even if I have only heard it being whispered. I kept doing my homework on maths which someone already finished. I saw her lips move with the music. Take me down by the river bends. Take me down to the fighting ends. Wash the poison from off my skin. Show me how to be whole again. Her soft voice moved with beat. Her hand movements were fast and hard on the paper. Her hair was in a braid down her left side. She had a red tight long sleeve with V-neck. She had black baggy sweatpants on with pure white socks. Her voice rose a little higher with each note. Fly me up on a sliver wing. Past the black where sirens sing. Warm me up in the Nova's globe. And drop me down to the dream below, cause I am only a crack in this castle of glass. Hardly anything there for you to see. The music was turned off. All of a sudden I heard heavy footsteps banging up the stairs. My head snapped to the door to see my mother, there with a not happy look. I smiled and Mayu smirked. "Sup, Mom, what is up?" I asked while standing up. Mom threw her hand on my shoulder and held a phone near my face. "It's Bulma," I nodded and placed the phone next to my ear. "Be Bulma G Gohan." "Chige." "Be Gohan, guess what? There is another tournament happening this year." "G really, where, when?" "Be it SA." Mayu cough. "What, really cool? And wait, another one." Gohan was sitting on his bed while his face was lighting up with delight and happiness. I was confused. What is going on? What are they talking about? I groaned and sat next to Gohan, who was smiling like crazy. "Cool, wait, that has teams like 2 or more." "2, whoa, that is going to be fun. When is it?" "They already have teams." "Oh, okay. Alright, we will see you then." "Oh, great, thanks, see you, Bulma." He gave the phone back to Chi-Chi, who stomped out of the room. I turned to Gohan, who was wearing a massive smile.
Guess what? They're in new tournament. It is going to be great. We are going in a week with the others. Then there is another 2 weeks away. Team 1. The others have been training for this all year and forgot to tell us. So we have some training to do cause we are both going. I can't wait, Gohan yelled while quickly going behind his dressing wall and changing into his G. He ran from behind it and threw mine at me.
I groaned and glared at him. I rolled over on his bed and yelled at him. "I don't want to train, so please go away," I said in a lazy tone. I felt a hand on me and lifted me up with no trouble. I growled and turned to Gohan, who was smiling like crazy. "Come on, please, I will teach you solar flare, please," he begged while letting me stand on my own 2 feet. I groaned in response and went behind my dressing wall and changed into my G. I had a tight baby blue tight turtleneck shirt that was cut off 2 cms from my breasts. It had no sleeves. My pants went to just under my belly button with pure white baggy pants, and the cloth that tied it up around the waist was a grey color. It had the tips that was tied on my left side. My shoes are same as Goku's, but they have some light baby blue with grey here and there. I walked from the wall over to Gohan, who was smiling like crazy and was placing his shoes on his feet. I brushed my hair and did it up while talking to Gohan. "So it is a team 1, what's that?" I sighed and Gohan explained everything to me. "Hope this chapter was okay, sorry for a late chapter. And just to clear up something. Miyu's Saiyan 1 is different to the normal because of her being a white Saiyan. Her hair turns white grayish color. Thanks to Bijudama Bomber from giving me the idea and a picture of what she looked like. Also, Miyu hasn't turned into Super Saiyan yet. Alright. No one has POV. It has been 2 weeks. 2 fists banged together where the 2 young Saiyans trained. The female's leg connected with the young boy got. The boy stumbled with pain as the female then disappeared and reappeared behind the boy. She then put both hands together and swung down hard with her power flowing with her blood. The boy was knocked down to the ground, making a crater in the ground. He let out a groan and threw back up. The female then tried to land a kick on his gut again, but the older Super Saiyan held her leg. "Gohan," the girl squealed, while getting swung around in a circle. The boy's face hardened with the thought of not winning. He let go. The young girl was thrown into a mountain with surprising speed. He landed on the ground and he wiped his lip. He turned his hand to look at the liquid there. "Red blood, she has got a hard hit. I am Super Saiyan and she isn't right now, and she is still making me bleed. Wow, I can't wait until she turns into Super Saiyan." She did turn into a Super Saiyan, but we are getting there. I think she just need one more push and maybe fighting the Z fighter tomorrow will do it. The thought ran through the male Saiyan's mind as the girl was suppressing her power level so that Gohan called the TV dip. She then circled around Gohan using her speed. She then saw Gohan wasn't doing anything. She growled and landed a kick to his head, making him cry out in pain. He crashed into a rock which exploded with the impact that she kicked him with. She noticed he wasn't fighting at full strength while not pulling any powerful blows on her. She raced up to him and made an error by purpose with her stance so Gohan could take a strong hit there. He didn't. He blazed up and flew up while bringing his leg down on her heady wickets. The girl growled and made a key blast that Gohan dodged with no problem. He flew back down to her. Go and get your head in the game, she screamed at him, while rushing at him. Bring her knee up to connect to his face, which didn't work. He grabbed it. She then used the speed she was going at as momentum and swung around his body and kneed him the back while pushing off so that he smashed against the ground. He groaned in pain. He jumped back up with a lazy smile. Sorry about that, haha, he smiled, then went back into a fighting stance. Let's do this, the boy yelled while rushing at female who was giggling at his actions. She then dropped on the ground and started to roll around while laughing hard. The boy stopped his move and gave the girl the weirdest look he could muster. What are you laughing at? Gohan asked, looking confused as hell. The girl held her breath looking at the boy, then burst out laughing again. It's GGJ, ha 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 ha. The boy was getting angrier by the minute. He yelled for the girl to stop laughing and they needed to train well to finish their training for tomorrow. The girl just kept laughing. She was wiping her eyes from laughter. May you just stop, he snapped at her, coming closer to her. Her laughter died down and she looked at the ground. You now know what it feels like to be annoyed and frustrated with another person that you're training with, the way you have been to me today, she said, looking up with anger in her eyes. Have you been holding back or something? Whatever it is, I can't take it anymore. Play dirty or fair, I don't care, just don't hold back. The female snapped at him. He looked at the ground. She stomped over to boy who was acting sad. She held him by the front of his shirt.
Now explain, what have you been holding back? Only because I can't turn Super Saiyan doesn't mean I ain't strong, and I ain't sick and tired of you holding back because you're scared you're gonna hurt me. Well, guess what? Gohan, her outburst made the boy feel even worse.
He looked up at the female, scared of what she was going to say. I have been tortured, abused, worse than anything you could dream to imagine. You think you Gohan, son, she screamed while holding his shirt. Gohan looked up at her. Her tail violently whipping in the air behind her.
Can hurt me more worse than that. There has been plenty of times I have begged for that but have never gotten it. Gohan, I am sick and tired of people trying to get to know my limits or trying to hold back so then they don't kill me, just hurt me.
Please just give me your all, she screamed while tears were flowing down her face. Gohan looked taken back. He looked up. He raised his power level to a strong level and punched her hard. The girl was thrown through 3 mountains and landed in a crater that was the size of Bulma's house. The girl let out a cry of pain and held her left cheek. She smiled while holding it. Warmness washed over me. Thank you, Gohan, the young female whispered before driving into darkness. The boy's thoughts went wild. Why did she want me to do that to her? Why did I do that to her? Suddenly a thought hit him. What happens if I kill Miyu? His head spun. I have to get to her. The boy sped over to the girl's body and checked for a heartbeat. It was steady. She was knocked out. The boy placed his hand on her back and held her bridal style while flying back home. Gohan's paw. I opened the door and walked in to see Gohan giggling and smiling. I sighed and walked up to my room yelling at home. We were home. I then placed the pink-haired girl on her bed and looked to her cheek, which held a purple color to it. I huffed and closed the door, wishing for her to wake up. I sat down next to her and let my thoughts run wild. I don't know how to ask Vegeta about this, or being a Saiyan and a white tail, how am I going to explain to her that I can't ask what she is? I know she is shaken up about Vegeta's comment about Freezer, how he guessed he had something to do with her. I was surprised as well, but there is something else at play here she hasn't told me about. She said there was another guy that took her boy Yak or something and he was worse and more powerful. I huffed and looked back to her. How can someone hurt her? She is a beautiful girl. Innocent. Well, they took that away from her. I know because I seen those kiddish loving side I know she has. She is a good heart, she just hiding it from those who can hurt her again. I huffed and sighed and leaned my forward and let my lips connect to her forehead. My lips left her forehead and made myself stand up and walk out of the room to see what mom's doing. My breathing came harder, my body grew sore. I threw my limbs at people. I swung my left leg, then my right, making a key blast in my right hand to make people fly off the edge of the massive light plate surface. I smiled as I punched a human and he went flying off the edge. I felt my body start to feel with excitement as my mind stayed clear. I saw Gohan on another massive plate thing he was taking guys down with on punch. I smirked and started up again. 2, 6, 12. 20 guys, there was about 5 left. You see, we have to finish off every person to go to the next round. Luckily, I didn't have any Z fighters on mine platform. Suppose they would get a beating of a lifetime. I smirked as my body threw itself at ongoing people. Nothing, no one was much of a challenge for me. I created a key blast and threw it at the guy who flew off the edge again. How bad are these guys? They fell into the water that was under us. I smirked as my bell beeping sound went off, meaning there was a victor for mine platform. I smirked as I heard people shout out. I looked over to Gohan. His beeping sound ran through my ears as my mind raced. What was the next round? Would I have to fight Gohan? No, I wish that could happen. I smirked and went over to the railing he flew to. He smiled at me and held out hand for a high five. I glared at him and did it slowly as gave him a dumb look. He smiled and grabbed my hand and pulled me to him. I glared as I landing on his chest while my body was pressed up against his. He smiled and wrapped his arms around me. We both made it, this wonderful, he cheered as I glared at him, my face even turning red. Why are you hugging me then, Gohan? I questioned as I wasn't hugging back. He smiled and whispered to me. Oh, you come on, it's exciting. Also, this is your first tea. I cut off Gohan by asking him again. Why are hugging me? Please let go if you don't have a good reason, I stated without any emotion in my voice or my eyes. He smirked and shook his head. Nope, only when you hug me back. He smiled and laughed and waited. I growled and glared at his head. I smirked and placed my hands on chest. He smiled, but his smile changed. He jumped back with a small smile. Oh, he cried, holding his chest. I smiled and walked over to the railing with a smile. But that's what you get, Gohan. I smirked and waited for the next rounds to come up. Gohan was against another male, Trunks and Tien, with Piccolo and Krillin and me and a older guy around Gohan, age a little older but no more than 3 years older than me. I smirked and looked to Gohan, who was standing next to me pouting while rubbing his chest. I burned him a bit with my key. Krillin was next to us looking down at the ground without a smile. I smirked at this and looked for Piccolo. Their match was first. So mainly what happened was Piccolo was sick of Krillin and flew off, and Krillin moved on. Next was Trunks and Tien, and Trunks won with a smile. I smirked as Tien shook his hand and Trunks smiled fun. They both flew over to us. Next was Gohan and the kid. Gohan won easy. Next was me. He patted my back and I glared at him. What are you trying to say, Gohan? I can't take down a normal human, I glared. He smiled and pushed me off the railing. I landed on my feet and I smirked. He waved and shouted, "Go Menu." I blushed a bit. I changed into my fighting stance. He did the same. He smirked at me. I ignored this. I am here to fight, nothing else. Gohan cough. I saw Mayu glare at the male. He had light brown hair that went into a side shortcut. His bangs were no longer than his face. He wore a black tank top with navy blue pants and white shoes. He was in a stance which nearly made me cry. There was lots of spots to take him out. I saw Mayu looking with confusion at this. I smiled. She is so cute. Bo Mayu, you can do it, I yelled. I swear her face turned a bit red from blush. I smiled and she sends a strong kick to his face and he was out cold. Ye go Mayu, I screamed out to her. She turned around and a Sylvania system said about her going into the finals. I smiled once we were standing next to one another. Ready for the finals, I smiled. She nodded and walked in front of me. Mayu cough. We were about to get in our pods to be sent off to our place. We have to fight a weak human at. I sighed as they told us what to do. I heard names being called and people cheering up Trunks, Gohan, Krillin names. I stood with a smile on my face. None of these humans like me, but I guess I can be okay with that. I jumped in my pod. I was across from Trunks. There was a countdown as my body jerked forward because of the pod speed. There was flashing lights and weird wave things. I landed on a sandy ground. I am in the desert, great because I just love sand. I thought while looking for mine stupid weak human I have to fight. I felt a strange key like I know who it is but I can't put my finger on it. I looked around, I feel like I am being watched. I then felt a hand get placed around my neck. Blue hand, what the hell? I felt my breath being sucked out of me. I can't breathe. I closed my eyes. My attacker was behind me. I couldn't see them. Their hands were cold, just like no, it's not. I kicked my leg back. I felt my leg connect with something hard. I then did a front flip forward and spun around, and what I saw, I nearly passed out then. I growled, sweat covered my body, my eyes started to water, my brain working overdrive. I coughed and looked up again. He was still there with a smirk. My breath suddenly got caught in my throat. Fear took over me. I fell to my feet and looked in. Oh no, no it can't he. He needs to see you, monkey, the blue monster asked with a smile while walking closer to me. I screamed and jumped back in fear. I saw him laugh and step forward again faster. Now don't you run away, he flew up to my face. Fear was all I was thinking and saw. I felt a hand connect to my head and everything went black. My eyes opened, my head throbbed with pain. I lifted a hand to my head and let out a cry. I noticed myself laying on Trunks. I pushed myself up and stared at my hands. What happened? Wait, no, they were trapped in that star. I felt fear drill back into my brain. My hands grew sweaty. I started to panic. Who is fighting? Who is no? I sensed for anyone else. Krillin was lying next to Trunks and I could feel Gohan and Piccolo's key. They are fighting B-Boy Yak. My eyes started to water as I thought of those monsters. But there was more than 4 keys there. He has got more people. I looked to the ground. Piccolo's life force dying on slowly, so was Gohan's. I feared this day, when Boyak would come back and destroy this planet like he destroyed my life. I glared at the ground, my full-blood Saiyan kicked in. I must help them, but I can't. I am not strong enough to help Gohan. I don't think Gohan could win against that monster. As my thoughts run, my blood boiled. I felt a hand on my shoulder. I whipped my head around to the right. I know what you're feeling. You told me in the future, when Gohan died you broke. Trunks whispered to me. I glared at him dead in the eye. How do you know, Trunks, how I feel? This monster, I yelled but was cut off. I glared at him once. He placed his hand over my mouth. I growled under his hand. Listen, you can pray about this stuff later. Okay, move to go, and right now you need to ball up and get your ass out there. Trunks voiced. He was right. I need to get my head in the game and help save Gohan. I nodded. He's mad. I glazed back at him. How did you know what to say? Like the right thing. Normally for people to get through to me it take weeks, but you did that easily, I asked. He stood up and smiled. Well, an old friend told me. He smirked. I nodded and we jumped up. He is from the future, so I'm not going to question. He jumped up and he ran to the massive gate. We both phased out of sight. Then Trunks phased before the monster, before it could destroy, well, kill Piccolo. Boyak, you will not destroy this planet, Trunks yelled. They got into, sending punches and kicks everywhere. I caught Piccolo and looked up to Trunks, and Boyak's sweat rolled down my shirt as I looked to the monster. I saw Trunks' body close together like something was wrapped around it. I panicked and flew near Trunks, but keeping a safe distance. Trunks started to scream in pain and he fell out of his Super Saiyan state. I looked in awe. I glared at the small guy standing on the rooftop. Then the stupid asshole monster was next to him. I glared at them as Trunks' ki was lowering. I stood in fear as Boyak looked at me with surprise. The idiot blue guy with the orange mohawk threw a long ice-like sword at Trunks. Fear raged through me. I saw something knock the sword-like weapon away and the cord's thing get cut. Trunks' sword was thrown to him. He caught it and the house blew up. The two idiots fell to the ground. Vegeta, Trunks yelled out with a smile. Leave them to me, Vegeta said boldly. I back up a little bit when Vegeta turned Super Saiyan. He flew up in the air. Vegeta landed in front of Boyak and Boyak laughed. Piccolo was in Gohan arms while he flew down. I stayed away from the battle but also away from Gohan. Vegeta and Boyak got into heated fight. They started to blow up everything. I flew over to Trunks. I don't understand you, father. You withdrawn into the shadows even since Goku died, and now you're here fighting for us, he whispered to himself. I glared at the both of them. They were fighting, blowing peace stuff, trying to land a hit on one another. Vegeta was thrown back and Trunks tried to get in the fight. I flew backwards. Stay back, Trunks, this isn't your fight, Vegeta barked. Trunks started to fight the female, the new female and Mohawk idiot. Vegeta was getting beaten badly and Trunks stopped him. They talked and Trunks got elbowed by his dad. What? Vegeta flew off. I backed away a bit. I saw Gohan standing up from Piccolo. He asked me a question. This is the boy Yak you talked about, he asked, looking at Vegeta getting beaten. I nodded in fear. He flew off to help. He called out for Vegeta as he flew to save him. The Mohawk idiot had to stop him. While that happened, Trunks was getting beaten and Boyack was powering up. Boyack flew over to Trunks after he knocked out Vegeta and blasted Trunks in the back, making him fall to the ground screaming in pain. I grasped, tears welling up in the eyes. Trunks fell out of Super Saiyan and was knocked up. I flew back in surprise. No, this can't happen. No, they can't die. Even if I don't know them well, he can't. Boyack flew to the ground right in front of me. I looked in fear. He smirked. Gohan watched in surprise and how I was acting, I am guessing. I back away in fear. He smirked and stepped closer. Go away, I escape from you. You can't do anything to me now, I screamed while tears streamed down my face. He chuckled and stepped closer and smirked at and held out his hand. Me, you, my dear, how have you been? He laughed and stepped closer. I glared and moved back more. Gohan, they rushed at him in anger. They started to fight. Well, it was Gohan getting his ass handed to him, but he was holding his own quite well. The two idiots, the female and small guy, had Gohan in the court thing again. I growled while seeing Gohan in pain. Stop, I whispered, as Gohan cried in pain trying to get out. I glared at Boyack. The memory of him hurting and doing all that to me came rushing back. I felt my eyes water again. The female kicked Gohan in the stomach. He cried out in pain. My blood boiled, my thoughts collided with rage. No one hurts Gohan, no one but me. Stop, I said a little louder. Boyack turned to me with a smirk. Little ape going to fight, he laughed, my pain boiling with anger. He laughed again and turned his back on me. Listen, go back to the hole you came from. I will be there in a sec to finish you, Boyack growled at me. Snap, I felt something snap inside of me. I am not going back to his place. I'm not going to get abused again, and you can be as sure as hell. I want to let this planet get destroyed. I growled. My head felt like it was about to explode with pain. My body felt like it was on fire. My hair, I felt it stand up from the energy I was producing. My head throbbing with pain, my hands felt like I was getting stabbed by nails over and over. This pain was killing me. I screamed out trying to make the pain disappear, but it became worse. I cried and held my head with my hands while I fell to my knees. Ah, I screamed. The pain, it was worse than anything I have ever felt. I felt my legs start to throb and my hands started to shake with pain. I screamed again. I felt a snap. The pain decreased. My vision became clear. My power, my strength grew. I felt amazing. This power rushing through my veins was amazing. Wait, was this what Gohan called Super Saiyan? I looked back up at Boyack. My rage came back. He can't do anything to this planet. I want to let him. What is this? Magic, a trick? The idiot is white. What going on? Her P-power, it is unreal, Boyack cried, looking with awe. Gohan looked with pride. He held a confused face though. She is white, her hair, her powers, how he smiled and breathed out trying to stay conscious. His eyes dropped and he pasted out from the amount of pain he has. Listen, Boyack, you have done enough to me. This other world's to enough people. I won't let you leave this planet alive. To hurt, destroy other people, I screamed, my rage becoming more and more. I can't take this idiot, he has damaged enough. Oh my, I want to be able to stay alive. No, this white idiot will kick me, huh? Ha ha ha, don't make me laugh. He smirked and grossed his arms, making sure this sight stayed on the girl. Idiot, I haven't been using my full power. You aren't going to kill me, you can't. I am unstoppable, it is unreasonable to try as well. He stepped on Gohan's chest. I felt more rage, more sadness and surprise. My heart broke a bit and no don't touch him anymore, I screamed. He laughed. Young love is stupid, you learned that at a young age. I thought I taught you that daringly, Boyak said creepily. I nearly vomited, I was so stressed and nervous. You can't hurt Gohan anymore. He is my best friend and my life, my everything. I can't stand to lose someone like him. I growled and walked forward. Oh, trying to save the day here. What has this boy taught you? I have taught you more than this, bored idiot. Boyak sarcastically said while smirking. I stepped back. I felt my rage burning low. I am scared, fearful. He hasn't been using his full powers. I am done for. But I can't give up like that. I can't just leave Gohan there for dead. I have to do something about it. After all the crap he has done, I can't let him go. It is not justice. I gotta do something. Just what? An idea popped into my head. Hey Boyak, let go and less, my voice low and scared. I need to act tough. I need to show him I am not scared. What are you gonna do, little girl? Nothing. Yeah, you have transformed into same type of thing that made you stronger. But it won't work. I cut the man off with a smirk. I need to act. I need to. Oh please, you haha, what are you gonna do? I smirked, my voice loud and less fearful tone. Boyak looked taken back and he smirked. Trying to act. Hey, I call you bluff. I freaked out for a sec. What am I gonna do? I have get close enough to go and it is the only way I can help him. Oh, you think I am bluffing? Oh please, you have nothing on me. Haha, enough talk, let's get down to business. I felt my body lift up into the air. He took his foot off Gohan. I can feel my power slowly slipping away. I don't know how to hold his form. Please hold for a little longer. Haha, alright, now to finally killing you, he yelled while flying full force at me. I felt my stomach erupt in pain. I went sailing into a building. I stood back up holding my left arm a bib while choking out blood. He is way stronger than me, gotta make it to Gohan. I flew up to him and started to try and land punches and kicks wherever I could. While trying not to die, I then landed one on his arm. He smirked and punched me back, sending me flying into the ground. Vectis Pov. What why? I am too weak to fight him. That can't be true, it just can't be. I am the prince of all Saiyans, he can't win. Where is Gohan? We is probably smashing the shit out of him, stupid kid. I pulled myself out of the dirt. I then stood up with groans. Pain great. Okay, so who is fighting out there? I tried to sense power levels. What is this? This girl has this how? Female Super Saiyan how, and maybe she is worth training. Yes, I am gonna train her. Just how is she holding up? Where is that Saiyan boy? I flew over to the fight scene. As she is getting destroyed, why isn't she using her energy? It is like she is saving it. That kid is on the ground, power level very low. Great.
Wait, does she know Gohan is the strongest? She might be saving her energy for him. That is so stupid. That is what she is doing. She is gonna kill herself, but it is a good idea. He is the only person with a chance to stop him, fool.
I will wait until she needs help. May you cough. If I get smashed into another massive rock, my back I need to get to Gohan. Bring it on, ours, I smirk. Boyak is getting annoyed. Why don't you hurry up and die, white idiot? He growled and flew at me again. He punched my face, then sent me down to the ground while landing before me and kneeing me in the back. Blood flew out of my mouth. I started to cry a bit. This pain I can't stand for much longer. Blood was all over my top, my clothes destroyed, my will hasn't though. Bring it on, I screamed, trying to get the pain to stop. I was laying on the ground crying with pain everywhere. I am gonna make sure you will die in 3 minutes, he growled, looking pissed as hell. I smirked. Come at me, idiot, I whispered, just to Gohan now, if I can I gotta. He flew at me, sending me flying over to Gohan. I smirked. Now Vegeta, I whispered, hoping he heard me. I felt his ki before he has to help. I heard Boy Hawk get sent flying. Get it done, kid. He is our only chance, he growled, and kept fighting. I smiled. I placed my hand on Gohan. This H has to work, I whispered, lifting my arm. Pain screamed at when I did. Ajak placed my hand on his chest. Transferring my key to Gohan, I need him to have this full strength back. This is gonna take some time. I groaned in pain as I let the boy get better. 20 minutes of that. Kid, I ain't going to hold much longer. Hurry it up. Haha, Vegeta screamed at me as I felt pain take over my legs. I dropped to my knees. I whispered as I felt liquid in most places. I turned my head to the left a bit and spat out blood. Gohan, please come on. 10 minutes. Girl, W10 you will not do that. 2 months to go. Haha, you think I would let you kill a female Saiyan? You is so mistaken, it's so funny, you fool. Vegeta yelled while attacking, while mainly trying to escape from death. H. Come on, every last bit of energy for Gohan, so worth it. I can't believe I will end like this. Gohan, you have been amazing to me. A little more. Girl, I heard Vegeta yelled at me, if you keep going you will die. Stop it now. No Vegeta, it hasn't worked, he needs more tea to regain Con. Vegeta shut me off, I was panting, my life force fast going down. You will die, he sounded pissed. I coughed and smiled. It swore. I felt myself being lifted up, Vegeta yelling at me. I looked up to see Boyak. Zero girl, I felt the most unbearable pain. I saw his hand through my stomach. I screamed while crying. New Vegeta yelled. I looked on my breath out of control. I can feel myself slowly dying. My head fell. I saw Gohan sitting up looking at me with the most scared look. Boyak laughed and threw me down. I screamed in pain. I put my hand on my stomach and cried, this pain, make it stop. I felt my aurora fall, my Saiyan is gone, I am dying and fast. I closed my eyes, I felt a hand in mine and someone crying. I opened them with trouble. No, you can't die, no me, you may no. Gohan cried. I felt myself smile and I shakily placed my hand on Gohan's face. He leaned into it. Gohan, he put his finger on my lip. Save your energy, you're going to live, me you, he cried. I smiled and spat out blood. I am not gonna make it to repeat this. Gohan, you've been amazing to be. I am sorry for the way I have been with you. Gohan, go kill for me. I coughed up blood. I can feel myself about to pass out. I will for you, me you, he cried, his face filled with rage. Gohan, I will you again so sometime, BB. Gohan's paw.
I felt her hand fall. My heart broke. I quickly checked her pulse. She is just knocked out but will die soon. Oh no, I have to finish this quickly for me you. I turned around slowly, glaring at Boyak. How dare you touch her? How dare harm my Mayu? My Saiyan, how dare you lay a finger on her again? Gohan screamed, rage built, which means my power was building.
Idiots, get over here, Boyak yelled to his henchmen. I growled as they put the energy absorbing wire over me. I smirked and powered up more. What he has done to Mr. Piccolo, me you, Krillin, everyone. Trunks age, I can't stand this guy. Won't stop until he is put to justice. I know you can. Do you think you can just walk in and take our planet? Well, you forgot one thing. I am my father's son. My body busted with power. I have reached it. Bojak's face was written with worry as I started to make my way over to the monster. He took a step back, reading my power. I broke out of the wires with my last step. Boyak growled. While two fools came at me, I dodged one and kicked him in the side, killing him. In the second I hit him. Another fool came at me. I punched them, killing them again straight away. I stood there looking at Boyak, pissed. The girl then stepped back, worried. I started to fly towards them. Boyak did the most unthinkable thing. He killed his own. The girl that was left, he killed her and went started for me as we started to fight. He blew a power wave at me. I stood my ground, taking it in full force as I was glaring at him. He gave a look of surprise when he saw me. He jumped to the ground and yelled at me. I will kill you. How I smirked. No you won't. I will, from what you have done to my friends, Edo. He came over and flew right at me. He went to punch me. I punched him through the stomach. That's for me, you monster, I spat. He was leaning over in pain, groaning. You fool, any last words before you die? He coughed up purple blood and placed his hands together while creating an energy wave. Actually, boy yak, there is one that comes to mind, I said. Why, getting into a stand everyone knew well. Massachusetts, ha, I yelled, firing the wave at boy yak himself doing the same. I quickly flew at him, killing him. I fell out of my super state, both of them, and fell on the ground. I pasted off. Mr. Satan saves world again, are you kidding me? This guy makes front page while we are in the hospital. Krillin says, Gohan, who is in a bed next to him, speaks up. Ha, say what you like, if Mr. Satan didn't he crash into Boyak and his gang, we might not even be here right now, Gohan stated. Everyone agreed. The pig in the corner started to talk. Yeah, when it comes to freak accident, he is the boss. They started to laugh. Aha, thanks, Dad, Gohan said to the window. Gohan, you killed Boyak, you know what this means. With the right press, you could be as huge as Mr. Satan. The pig said again. They all started to talk and fight a play fight. Everyone was having a restful good time. Hey guys, is me you up yet? Trunks asked. Go inside and sat up in his bed groaning. She took really hard hits to get to me, then gave me all her energy to wake me up. Then Boyak nearly killed her, so no, Gohan said, looking with worry. Bulma smiled at Gohan and smirked. Does Gohan have a crush on me? She teased. He just stared at her, looking at the way her pink hair was laying on her shoulders and around the bed. The bandages she had over parts of her body, her gorgeous eyes closed. Nothing was getting to him. All he was thinking about was Miyu and how she saved everyone. Hello Earth to Gohan. Gohan, don't ignore your mother. Gohan. Asamijuk Cosmo Sang Bilderbergman Ninja Fang Rokov Bella Swan Yugo. I commend peace all those people and all my favorites. I love you alls, Kosakso, and a massive thanks to the amazingly great ideas person Blaze for helping me brainstorm. I love you all, Kosakso. Gohan. Come on, you have to help your brother. Kai's voice rang through my ears as I groaned. I rolled over hissing. Would she shut up for once, Miyu thought while cuddling back into her niece and warm blankets. I want morsel. Miyu once again fell fast asleep with the big blankets over her head. It's been 1 year since that Boyak thing happened. She can control her Super Saiyan state. She kinda lets along with everyone now, kinda. She has been wanting to get to the next level with her Saiyan strength, but they had talked to Vegeta. Well, Gohan did, and she is a white Saiyan. They haven't had one in 10,100 years. She really is special. Also, Vegeta doesn't know the range of her powers and what they can do. So Vegeta is going to start training her, full Saiyan on Saiyan.
So today is another tournament. This one is for duellos to come show what they are made of. Gohan very happily asked Miyu, and she just huffed and trained more, so Gohan of course took that as a yes.
Miyu cough. Miyu, come on. I felt an hand on my shoulder, my rage rising. I hissed and turned over, making groaning noises. I felt another small hand on my smile, tried to get to my lips. I didn't let it. Not Goten. Mimi, the boy started to giggle and climb on top of my side. I growled. Go and get him off me. I hissed in a low morning voice. All I heard was a chuckle. I growled and rolled over, picking up Goten's body. I sat up with my hands on his waist, holding him. Goten, now idiot, what have I said about being on my bed? I growled while glaring at the small kid. The child started to giggle and reach out for my hair. No, I dropped my hands away, and Gohan caught him. Not the hair, buddy, you know that. Gohan sighed and held his brother. Time to get up. Bulma is going to be here soon. He smiled in his normal transition clothes. I groaned in response. Gohan then left, leveling my willpower to get up. I smiled and walked over to get dressed. I pulled out low-waisted jean shorts with lace on the side. This is all Bulma shopping stage. I then put on a long tight black sleeve shirt with a cardigan over me. It was a light baby blue color. I then placed on my feet some of my own combat boots and left the room, placing my hair in a high ponytail to the side. Morning, sweetie. Breakfast is ready, come on, Kai sweetly said to me. I nodded and walked faster downstairs to see Gohan placing Goten in his baby chair. I sat down and started to eat the food slowly. I can't wait, I really can't. It is so exciting, you and I are going to win this tournament for sure, haha, Gohan happily stated while sitting down next to me. We both looked at one another and started to eat. 30 minutes later. Knock, knock. Chachkai ran to the door while she gave Mayu the boy. Kot and Mayu just glared at the baby Go and chuckled in the background. Hey, Kai Kai, how are you guys doing? Ready for some meat? Kai Kai just gave her a dead plain look.
I still don't see why Gohan and me you're going.
They should stay home studying. Kai Kai spun around glaring at the kids in the family space room studying while Mayu and Goten were just glaring at one another.
But Gohan has been really good with his studies lately. Saiyan Mayu has been getting there with him, also looking after Goten quite a lot. Huffs they can go. Kai Kai looked sad. Mayu smirked and dropped Goten on the floor.
Smirking Gohan just laughed as the baby boy giggled. Weird kid, likes to be hurt. Mom, that may work too. Mayu was smirking with she was cut off by a male walking in the house looking pissed, as always. Women, we have to leave now. Vectia yelled while marching back to the plane. Mayu smirked at Goten while he started to crawl to baby Trunks who was standing next to his mom. Holding her hand and Mayu poked him in the back, he flopped on the ground and giggled. Gohan just shakes his head, she likes that way too much. Gohan thought while getting their fighting clothes tucked her.
Come on, you two, before your mother changes her mind. Bumla smirked while walking back out the door. Mayu straight away was up followed. Gohan smiled and followed. See ya, Mom. Gohan smiled and waved quickly walking out of the house. Mayu waved.
And they were off to an island.
Hey, Krillin,
Yamcha,
Tien and Mr. Piccolo, how have you guys all been through this past year? Gohan said as well. We're signing up for the tournament. Mayu was by his side looking uncomfortable with all the people around.
Gohan noticed this and pushed her forward. Ooh, yeah, hi, she said proudly, glaring at the three eyes one. They all smiled back. It nice to see you all well, Mayu. So how's living with Kai Kai been, huh? Yamcha asked while smirking. Mayu smirked and stepped forward. I have learned how to kick your weak arses easily by Gohan. How what's that I heard? Fear, she smirked. Yama just stepped back. Mayu held her head high. So, you guys are in this site? Tien looked around. Piccolo huffed. Well, I think we should head to the ring where they're explaining everything there. Krillin tried to explain. Mayu just glared at the bold man and Gohan noticed while everyone else was talking she was just glaring. Ha, yeah, let's go, Tien said following the others. Where Bulma? Yamcha asked while following the other. Mayu smirked and walked in front. With her man she smirked at Yamcha who looked pissed. Gohan shook his head while touching Mayu's arm and walking forward with her. Hey, your dressing rooms are here, he smiled while pointing to a door which said females. Mayu looked with confused and shook her head and growled. Funny Gohan, real funny, seriously not in the mood. She had an angry face. The man stepped back, while Krillin looked confused. No, Mayu, remember you're a girl, we are men, remember we talked about this. Gohan explained with his face red. She looked confused, while she looked at all the men. They were all trying not to laugh. Mayu's confused face left her face, and sad Aurora cover her. Why those damn humans? Her face turned red. She stepped behind Gohan looking at the ground with a sad face. She growled to herself. I don't show this emotion, like seriously they're idiots. I am stronger than them. I won't be bullied like that, she thought while Gohan looked to the men. Piccolo's eyes twitched, his rage rising. Haha, why you don't know the difference of F females and M males? Haha, Yamcha laughed. Tien looked down at the ground awkwardly. Krillin just looked at him. Mayu grabbed Gohan's arm. He looked with surprise. What am I doing? I am not weak, stupid. Have seen making me soft. New, stop touching his arm. Those idiots can't help, just punch him. Mayu's thought while holding his arm and looking with a sad face at Gohan. Gohan looked confused and surprised. Haha, I'm good one. Wait, Gohan, you had to have a talk with her. Haha, Yamcha, didn't he stop making Mayu feel worse? Yakia, Piccolo voice roared through the air. They all spun around to see him looking pissed. Mayu growled and just took her bag off Gohan while matching into the females' lockers. Pissed? Idiot ever think she was with Boyak for most her life idiot. Females and males don't matter there he growled while walking off. Yamcha told they're feeling bad, as Tien and Krillin just walked off to get dressed. Gohan waited for Mayu there thinking about how she was asking for help and actually touching me. I have made another bond with her. Mayu cough. Ars I am gonna murder him how dare he, then I touched him asking for help. I smiled lightly, my head spinning my rage building as I put my clothes on. Stupid idiot I will hurt him in our battle hopefully we do. I growled while packing all my clothes into my bag and matching out to Gohan who was dressed and with a really happy face. I just glared in front of me while walking to Gohan he smiled a bit and led me to where the others were. Gohan's paw. So everyone made it through the first round, cool Mayu and I kicked butt, so next is the second level. We are visiting Yamcha and Tien. Great. Mayu stood in the corner looking at Yamcha with the most dirtiest look she can muster. I sighed and looked at Tien who nodded. And let it begin, go. Mayu went straight for Yamcha kicking his legs out he screamed she then has grabbed his collar and started to punch him in the face, the crowd went crazy. Whoa this young adorable girl, sure packs a punch look at and the blonde head refers. I stepped back as Tien nodded, we went full pelt at one another. No one's paw. Mayu then kneed Yamcha in the guts, then sent him flying across the ring. Ars she yelled while flying after him, throwing punches making him cry out in pain. Gohan punched Tien leaving no hope and punching back as he flew off the ring. Mayu then kneed him again and again, she stood up kicking him off the ring into the grass. We win Ars she was pissed, while Gohan stopped when he heard the people start screaming in joy. So that's for today, thanks for watching, subscribe our channel for more such videos.